Hello, my friends. Just like every other annoying person on the internet, I want to talk about BookTok. I want to talk about BookTok because I have seen a resurgence of videos where people complain that BookTok is terrible and bad for readers and ruining publishing, and I disagree. I think that that is a bad take, and I want to talk about why I think that's a bad take. So, enjoy my rant. I would love to hear what you guys think. I would love to hear if you disagree with me, if you agree with me, if you think I'm stupid, if you think I am a genius and I changed your mind about it. Tell me. Yell at me. I don't care. So, one of the main criticisms I see for Book Talk is that it is ruining publishing, that it is making books come out faster before they're finished, bad quality, and it's made bad books more popular. And I have to say, were you not reading thrillers in the early 2010s? And it's fine if you weren't. I'm sure a lot of you were not. I am 26, I'm almost 27, and I've been reading books my entire life. So I was, in fact, reading thrillers in the early 2010s. And I know a lot of people just got into reading in like 2020, 2021. And I know a big portion of Book Talk is like younger 20s. So yeah, you might not have read those thrillers, but let me tell you, they were not good. They were bad. I do want to say I'm not talking about you, Gone Girl. Gillian Flynn. She truly changed thrillers. I've been a reader basically my entire life. I did take a little bit of hiatus, like end of high school through college, because I was wildly depressed and just incredibly busy. So early 2010s, I was reading a lot of thrillers. And I don't know if that's because it was the main genre of the era or if that's just what I was exposed to. My mom was reading a lot of thrillers, therefore, I was reading a lot of thrillers. And a lot of them were bad. A lot of them were published incredibly quickly by the same authors. I want to say Lisa Jewell was in her moment. I'm not talking shit on Lisa Jewell. I don't remember how her books were written, but a lot of them were not written very well. And that's because the intended audience for them, I would say moms, they were not looking for something critical. They were not looking for something hard to read that you have to digest. They were looking for something fun to distract them from how tired and crazy their children are. They were looking for escapism. They wanted to read about someone else's shitty husband, so theirs looked better. Oh, at least my husband didn't murder me. That sounds like my dad was shitty and my mom was reading these to escape him. And I think the difference is that the intended audience, the demographic that is buying a lot of books, spending a lot of money, making publishers a lot of money, has shifted. And it is now 20 something year old women talking about all the books they're reading on BookTok. So, yeah, those books are going to be published quickly. Popular authors are not going to be encouraged to write beautiful pieces of work. They're going to be encouraged to write fun books that are easy to read and easy to sell. And so, this isn't a new thing. It's just it is now being pushed towards us. And a greater audience is being shown and promoted these bad books because of social media. And I don't think that is the fault of BookTok. I don't think that is TikTok's fault. I think that that is just the nature of social media. So someone who, maybe wants to read books that are more critical, that are well thought out and well written and make you think about life, or even just well written books, you are not the demographic for these books. But the demographic exists and it has always existed. And I feel like it's facing so much criticism now and not in the past is because of social media and because of who we are, how old we are, how we've grown up with social media. Back in the early 2010s, my mom might post on Facebook, oh my God, this book was terrible. Or she might tell her book club if she was in one, oh my God, this book was so poorly written. But she didn't have that. She didn't have the grand audience that people have now. And I think that it is okay for people to enjoy bad books. I think it is okay for people not to seek out the most polished, well-written books because that might not be what they value in reading, which sounds crazy to people who do value those things. People who value those things are like, that is the whole point of reading. If you want something poorly done, watch a movie. I think that that is a bad take. I'm sorry, I think that's a bad take. I do want to remind you guys here, come a little closer. The TikTok algorithm is notoriously good. So don't interact with content creators that promote books that you don't like. Find creators who promote the books you do like. There are a whole bunch of different niches within BookTok, and find those TikTokers, interact with those. The algorithm will know. The algorithm will show you those things. And if you stop interacting, if you stop hate watching, if you stop saving these TikToks of these bad books, they'll stop promoting them to you. Block creators. You're allowed to. So yeah, bad books are not new. Bad books being popular is not new. This is just the first time that you are the intended audience. And by you, I mean someone in their 20s on TikTok consuming book content. That's what's popular because it is easy to read. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think that is new. I do not think that's BookTok's fault. That brings me to another point, which is that I don't think that every book needs to be read incredibly critically. And I know that that is a very hot take, but I do not think it is bad for people to enjoy things just on a surface level. I think that not every book is written to be enjoyed beyond a surface level. Now, if you're reading Animal Farm and you're like, haha, talking animals, yes, that is bad because that is not what that book is about, and that is a book that is meant to be thought critically about. But I don't think it's bad for you to not think critically about books that are not written to be thought about critically. I do not think it is bad that books are written to not be thought about critically. I think it is really okay if people read books to enjoy themselves and nothing more, to read books to shut off their brains and not think about everything bad in the world. I think that books are a valid form of escapism. And yes, people who are not reading these books that are meant to be thought about critically, I feel like are missing out on a large portion of reading. But people who enjoy Sarah J. Maas probably think I'm missing out on a fantastic story because it's not something that interests me. I'm allowed to not be interested in things, and other people are allowed to not be interested in the things that I enjoy. I don't think that that makes me a better person. I don't think that that makes me smarter than them. I don't think that means I'm doing the hobby better than them. I think that just means that we enjoy different things. And I think that that is okay, and someone doesn't have to partake in a hobby exactly how I do for that hobby to be worthwhile. That's like, I knit. Am I good at knitting? No. I truly 100% only knit scarves and hats because it's easy and it's fun for me. And I'm sure people who knit sweaters think that I am missing out, but I don't want to knit a sweater. And that's okay. I know people are going to disagree with that. I know people are going to say that you need to read all of your books critically. But I don't think that that is realistic for a lot of people. I like to read books that make me think. I like to read books that are a critique of America or society or whatever. I really enjoy books that are like that. But that's not the only thing I read because I would burn out on my hobby. And not everyone's like that. Some people, that's all they read, and they don't find value in reading if it is not something like that. But I think it's important to recognize that not everyone has to partake in the same hobby in the same way. Another big criticism I see for BookTok and booktokers is their love for a spicy book. There are people who will only read books with spice in them, who will only read smut. And my question for you is, why is that a problem? If you say it's because you're worried they're developing a porn addiction, like, it just gives the same energy as people who make fun of fat people and then are like, I only do it because I'm worried about your health. I don't believe you. I don't. I don't think that's a good answer, and I don't think it's truthful. And in full transparency, I don't read smut. I've read like a few, truly to get in on the hype, because I see people talking about it and I go, this must be so much fun, and I read it and I am thoroughly uncomfortable. I think the majority of spicy scenes are so cringy. It is not for me. It does not do it for me. I will just say my biggest problem with smut is people reading it in public settings, like on the metro, at work. I think that that is wildly inappropriate. And I'm not someone who's like, it's just as bad as watching porn in public, because the problem with that is someone could accidentally see something, especially minors could accidentally see something. That's not going to happen while you're reading porn. Someone's going to have to try really hard to accidentally read porn that someone else is reading. So I don't think it's as bad, but I do think that it is inappropriate for you to consume content that is meant to get you horny in public. I don't think that's appropriate. But I also don't think there's anything wrong with reading smut or with only reading smut. I think that is the most ethical way to consume porn, honestly, because you're not exploiting anyone. And when I put it all together, it makes me feel like BookTok gets all this criticism because people who are reading better books than the popular ones feel like those bad books devalue their hobby in the eyes of other people. You know, the people who put a lot of work into reading, who think critically about all of the books that they read, who read to better themselves, don't want to be associated with Sarah J. Maas and Colleen Hoover. And I think that there is some fairness in that. And I see where they're coming from because I don't read the book talk books. And some of the books that I read are a lot more difficult to read and grasp than these book talk books. And I don't think that that's entirely unfair, if I'm being honest. I think that it can be really upsetting when you spend a lot of time reading and thinking and dissecting the books that you read, and then other people look down on your hobby because they think lesser of it because they assume you're reading smut. But I don't think that's a book talk problem. I think that that's a misogyny problem. I don't think that it is fair to blame book talk, and I think that that is just blaming the other women who are popular in the same hobby as you because they do the hobby differently. Now, I don't think book talk is 100% good and everything on there is perfect. I think that there is a like whiteness problem on book talk, but I also think that book talk has done a good job of uplifting authors of color in teaching people that they need to diversify their reading. I think that book talk does have a little bit of a laziness problem when it comes to reading. I know that a while ago there was a TikTok that went viral about this girl who like just skims everything and only reads dialogue. And I think that why are you even reading at that point? But also, if you are new to reading, you're going to pick up books you don't like. And I'm guilty of picking up a like dual timeline or dual POV story and not liking half of it. So I skim those chapters and really only read like in depth the chapters that I care about. And I haven't done that for a couple years because I've gotten better at picking up books that I enjoy. And I truly, in my heart of hearts, do not believe that that girl does that for every single book she picks up. But I do think that promoting that is like maybe not the best. But I also think it's honest and maybe it is good. I don't know. I just think that especially taking that one TikTok and being like, people on Book Talk don't even read the books is so stupid. Like, I'm sorry. You know that that's not everyone. And I think that even if you are only reading bad books and smut, it is a good thing because you are giving your brain a break from the constant bombardment of content that we are shown every second on our phones. I think that it is great that people are consuming content that takes longer to get through rather than doom scrolling TikTok or Instagram. I think that giving yourself a break from your screen is a fantastic thing. And if you're doing it by reading, even better. So, yeah, I think people put down book talk and put down the way that these people read as a way to distance themselves from that type of reading. And I'm guilty of it. How many times in this video have I said I don't read book talk books? I'm doing the same thing. I'm distancing myself from it. And I don't think it's good. I don't think it's right. I think that is unfair. I think that it's happening because it's turned into a girl hobby, and God forbid a girl has a hobby and it's seen as valuable. I think it's misogyny. I have seen so many men talk shit about even booktube. But yeah, those are all of my thoughts. I hope that I explained myself well. I hope that maybe I gave you a new perspective or validated your thoughts. I would love to hear if you disagree with me or if you agree with me or if I made you think differently about anything. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see y'all next week.